Hello, good people. Spot of Nerd here with a brand new episode that's going to be just ever so slightly different than you might be used to on this channel. Think of this as a live stream because, quite frankly, I don't want to not give y'all more content, more stuff, but at the same time, I have so much to edit in relation to all of the San Diego Comic Con stuff. Quite frankly, I don't have the time to edit this. So pretend this is a live stream. And the reason for that is like I say, I'm trying out new equipment, new things. I've got a new microphone. I'm hoping that will work out. But you will probably not see any edits other than I'll throw the usual intro in the beginning and then I'll just throw some sort of credit thing at the end of it. But beyond that, nothing. This is what you get. This is what you see is what you get. And might do it for the next couple episodes, depending on how things go with the Comic-Con editing. Speaking of which, obviously, it's been now a week officially since we have gotten back from San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, it's like jet lag. It takes you a long time not only to recover, but also to get things back in order. And of course, you got to go back to work and so on and so forth. But just a quick, brief update on all of that. I threw out just a very small teaser. Check it out on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Again, just something very simple, very quick and easy, but just to kind of give you a little taste of what is to come. It's going to be awesome. I really, really am. I've got a lot of ideas as far as how I want to put these videos together. I don't know if it's going to be 4 or 5 episodes yet, or maybe even 6 episodes or 6 parts in the series. But it's going to be awesome. And I have a shit ton of footage. Like, I shit you not. I probably got around, last I checked, around like 11 hours of footage, borderline 450 gigs worth of data, and thankfully I've managed to get everything broken down into the days. Now I just have to put it all together in a magical way that hopefully you will enjoy, but also isn't like, I want to make it fun and exciting, I guess. I don't really know what the right words are, but obviously I want to make them just, again, nice little maybe 15 to 25-minute episodes. That way you can enjoy what I got to enjoy down this last week at San Diego Comic-Con 2024. It was a blast. It really, really was. And crazy news, I'll talk just very briefly here about it. Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doctor Doom, my opinion, is a joke and is quite hilarious because if you can catch a whiff, if this was smell-o-vision, that is what Marvel calls desperation. And the only way you're going to save yourself, if it's even possible, is to bring back somebody like Robert Downey Jr. But if you are a real fan, a true fan, if you know the comic books, if you know the material, this really is an attempt at desperation because not only are you bringing back somebody that's already dead, and for those haters that are already screaming at me going like, no, but they did different things. Obviously, comics did a lot of craziness with characters and groups and Avengers, X-Men, yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying anything like that. What I am saying, though, is Robert Downey Jr. was done. Like, he bowed out. He was like, I'm good. But it's interesting when you give him an $80 million paycheck. Funny how you want to return. Crazy when that happens, right? So I'll just leave it at that. I'm sure we'll be talking way more in the future about all of that good stuff. But yeah, all the information, all the details coming out of Marvel are just, quite frankly, just lackluster, if you ask me. Obviously there's leaks online. The Fantastic Four trailer or little snippets came out. Okay, I guess we'll see what that's all about when it finally comes. What else happened? A lot of shit happened at San Diego Comic-Con, and we'll get into that later because obviously there's a lot more I want to talk about on this specific episode that we will likely continue way more as well into the future. One more little touch, though. I want to bring up, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine, and I just want to reiterate just how correct I was. Now, huge thanks. I really genuinely mean that. People that are watching, people that are commenting, and yes, the hate is there. It's not as much hate as I received with Furiosa, but I appreciate the conversation. There's a lot more conversation in my live stream when I reviewed initially Deadpool and Wolverine. I really do appreciate that. For anybody that is watching this or has watched that, has commented respectfully, even if we might have a different opinion, I actually really appreciate the conversation because, like I said in that review, and I hold true, if you enjoyed the film, that's fantastic. I am not taking that away from you. I 100% am not taking that away from you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But I will defend to the death. And like I've said, I will do a full review later after I get the Comic-Con stuff out. Because I want to visit it. I have taken massive amounts of notes in relation to Deadpool and Wolverine as to why it is atrocious and it is terrible and it is garbage. It has a paper thin story. And the majority of people obviously are holding on to the fact of we finally got to see Hugh Jackman in the yellow suit. I get it. I'm not saying it wasn't cool. But what I am saying is this, something very, very simple. Deadpool and Wolverine hasn't even been out for 1 week. And that shit has disappeared. For the most part. Obviously not completely. That shit has disappeared quicker than Trump's assassination attempt. Now, if you couldn't put two and two together, what I mean by that is, you would think a movie like this, Deadpool and Wolverine, which was talked about for literally years, as well as crazy excitement this first weekend, and I'm not denying that, and obviously the dollars are, this thing is, like I said, it's going to make $1 billion, if not more dollars. But look at the reviews in relation to now. Look at the excitement behind it now. It's very quiet, isn't it? Like I said, sure, you can go online, you'll see it. You'll see people reviewing it and talking about it. But it's interesting how you're not hearing a lot. Basically, it's not taking over, shall we say, is another way I look at it. The best, one other thing I wanted, and I'll shut up because then we'll move on to the last piece. Then we'll just end this episode live stream. But Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, truly is the greatest idol I've ever had. I worked in zoology for 15 plus years. It was the greatest job I ever had. I got to work with wildlife. I helped out with wildlife conservation. Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, was personally one of the greatest idols I've ever had in my entire life. Now, when he passed away, it was very tragic. Still to this day, it's very hard. It's been a very long time since he passed away, but Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, was on the news, in the media, for over 1 week. And in the words of, I forget, I really do forget, shame on me, but in the words of some of like celebrities or news anchors or whatever it was, if a zoologist, if a zookeeper can get the attention of the media for more than a week, then he's something, or she, depending on, it could be somebody else just like him. They are very special. They are very incredible people. They've done something amazing for this world. So going back to Deadpool and Wolverine, and I can already hear you right now. Oh, you're comparing Deadpool and Wolverine to Steve Irwin? Blah. Just go with me on this. A zoologist got more attention than this movie has in less than 1 week. And that to me says something. It really, really does. So to finish up my thought on it, Deadpool and Wolverine, I still hold true, and I've seen it again, I still hold true that it maybe is a 1, maybe a 2 at best out of 10. The movie is garbage. Take a step back, people, and really take a look at this film. Sure, we got to see Wolverine in the yellow suit, but the story was, I just imagine a kid writing a story with a crayon That to me is what this film's story was. You had character and dialogue that simply was like, holy crap. You couldn't have scripted it any more. The cringe was just wow. I didn't think you could actually make humor cringe in relation to Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds mixed together, blah, 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 blah. And then you have the explanation of the story itself with the characters. Now, obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything right now. There's obviously a lot of cameos. It's just, it doesn't even, I wouldn't even say it deserves the respect of Easter eggs. Because quite frankly, I think Marvel just took a bunch of darts, put some names like characters, and they just threw it at a board and saw what stuck and said, hey, they're going to be in the film, they're going to be in the film, and they're going to be in the film. The movie is garbage, people. And I know I'm just me, and sure, I can hear you haters right now. I really, really can. And I'd love you. Go ahead and comment respectfully if you can. I would appreciate it. The movie is terrible. The CGI is the final sequence, spoiler, when they're bursting out of the bus, Wolverine looks, I mean, I swear you're watching a cartoon like Looney Tunes back in the 90s. It is terrible. And quite frankly, the only reason that this film got made was two reasons. Number one, you can go back, the interviews, everything in between Marvel, Kevin Feige, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, everybody that is involved in this film. They were talking about this film for 6 years. 6 years. They couldn't get it right. They couldn't get the story. They couldn't get this. They couldn't get that, yada, yada, yada. So two things is what finally I feel made this movie happen. Number one, after 6 years, they eventually probably looked at each other, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds and Marvel and Disney and 20th Century Fox. They probably finally got together in a room and said, guys, it's been 6 years. It either happens now or it doesn't happen at all. Mark my words. I can guarantee you that's what happened. And then number two, the only reason that this movie got made or became a reality was the paychecks. I can only imagine the paycheck that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman got to make this film. Because you have to think, even from their perspective, their status as Deadpool, the status as Wolverine, they had to have read this script. And they've done, obviously, half a dozen, if not more, stories before this in the comic book live action series. They have had to have read this script and gone, really? I'm the guy that did Logan. This is the best you can come up with? And same with Ryan Reynolds. He probably looked at that, his Deadpool title, as obviously he deserves the title of Deadpool. He probably saw the script and went, really? This is the best you could do? Like, what? And then again, somebody finally just said, guys, if you don't do this now, it's not going to happen. Mark my words. Right here, cross my heart. I swear that's exactly how this movie was made. And that is the saddest thing about it. That is truly the most saddest thing that ever really is this entire environment or atmosphere that is the third Deadpool and Wolverine. So, I'll shut up. We'll move on to the last piece, which I'll keep it brief. I gotta be careful with this one. I want to talk just briefly about the Olympics. If you know me, if you know Spot of Nerd, you know this channel, we do bring up, obviously, politics, the real world. We talk about personal stuff, my own medical issues, blah, 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 blah. So, today is August 1st, depending on whenever you're watching this. If you are paying attention to the Olympics right now, 2024 in Paris, I am not afraid to say this out loud in relation to this has got to be the most disgraceful, the most abysmal, horrific, disgusting Olympics I've ever witnessed. Now, I'm not saying anything negative towards the athletes. I think I don't have a clue what that's like, what that world is like. Quite frankly, I don't even really watch the Olympics. I haven't watched the Olympics probably since like 2010 or 12 or whenever the hell the last one was. But obviously, with today's social media, with the news, everything in between, today something happened. Pretty sure you can figure it out. And her name was, I have a note because obviously I'm not the brightest in remembering things. Angela Carini, if I'm saying that correctly, from Italy. Look it up. Look this story up. And I will simply say this because I've got to be very careful around this subject. I like having a paycheck. I love having health insurance, so on and so forth. But at the same time, broken record moment, as I've said many times on this channel, I'm also not going to be quiet about it because what happened today was absolutely tragic, horrifying, disgusting, unnecessary. And it really speaks to really where we are in society. That's a big rabbit hole that I'm not going to go down right now. All I will simply say is women's rights matter. They really, really do. And I am a huge, huge advocate for women's rights. Women are some of the most amazing creatures on this planet. They really, really are. And I dip my invisible hat because they are truly special and magical in ways far beyond males and everything in between, because they're just awesome. They're amazing. And that's right. I can't get too specific because otherwise, or at least not right now. We'll obviously get specific later on when I can maybe accumulate my thoughts better to where I won't be censored or taken off this or fired or so on and so forth. But I think what it just ultimately comes down to, what happened specifically today, what's happened before in the opening ceremonies, it's just sad. It really, really is sad. It's not surprising if you obviously are paying the slightest bit of attention to what's happening in this world. And quite frankly, I hope, from what I'm seeing from the positive side in relation to everybody speaking out against it, in relation to supporting Angela, I really hope that she does get that she ultimately does get her redemption. And I don't mean that in a negative, violent connotation. I just mean that, like, what was it? I think it was Jake Paul or somebody said, hey, come to me, the UFC, let's put you on stage, let's get you into a real fight so the world can see the talent that you possess. And I think that's really something special. I really, really do, because she does deserve it. This woman has probably worked her entire life to have that one moment. And that moment, quite frankly, and this is something I won't be afraid to say, that moment was taken away. It really, really was. And I'm not saying, to each his or her own. Y'all get to, you get to have your opinion. I get to have my opinion. But I think what happened today in that regard was something that shouldn't have happened, because quite frankly, these people, I can't even fathom the right words to describe the awesome that these athletes are. I really, really can't. And I really just hope that something changes in the future to allow everybody, every single person, regardless of what you are, to show that talent, to show your skill, to show your work that you've done your whole life, and you get to that one moment where you finally get to be Superman or whatever superhero you want to be, and you also get to represent your country. I think I've always said this specifically with football, soccer, watching England. Unfortunately, we didn't get past the final, but getting behind your country and supporting it, to me, that's special. I've always said this as an American, like living in America right now. I am working towards becoming a dual citizen. It's the most amazing thing on the planet. I am a true patriot. I think America is one of the greatest countries to ever exist. It's not perfect, but my God, it is special. It really, really is incredible. So I'm just throwing it out there. We're going to talk about this, far more in the future. And let me know your thoughts. All jokes aside, no, I don't want any hate or violence or anything like that. Let's just peacefully, respectfully, discussions around anything you want to talk about that we've been mentioning in this episode or past, future. But again, I just think we need to start talking to each other. I've said that 1,000 times on here. regardless of what happened today during the Olympics, regardless of Deadpool and Wolverine, San Diego Comic-Con alone had one of the greatest sex trafficking busts ever in San Diego, California, which was amazing, by the way, which is also scary as hell to think just what goes on behind the scenes when you're having a great time at San Diego Comic-Con. All this other horrible shit, sex trafficking is going on behind you is just crazy to think about. But so much to talk about that let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. And I would love your thoughts in the comments. I really, really would. I appreciate those, like I've said, that are respectful, even if they might be different opinion than mine. It's okay. We've got to get back to this. We've got to get back to having those uncomfortable conversations. And if you agree with me, then hey, you know what? Let's talk about how awesome America is and hope that the future will bring something a lot better than what is going on right now, not only just with America, but with the world. So, with all of that said, folks, huge thank you for everybody that got this far. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you didn't get this far, oh well. If you're a hater and you want to just hate me, take a number. I would love you all so much if you haven't already. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button right down below. Thumbs up, comment, bibbity bobbity boop, the whole thingy, you know what you're supposed to do on social media. And bear with me. Please be patient with the Comic-Con stuff. I promise it is coming. It's going to take me a while, but I promise you it's going to be amazing. So once it does eventually come out, it's going to be incredible. Trust me. Yeah. Until next time, folks, we will see you guys next time. I've got to get that figured out. All right. Later, y'all.